Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network. We come to you tonight after the Yankees, matter of fact, 5-2 win over the Mets. It was a pitching matchup that figured to be good. It was early. I have a couple things that I thought were puzzling to me, um, but it's turned into another devastating night for the Mets. And with everything that's gone on, with all the things that haven't worked out, and all the things that you want to point to Stearns for, what you have to also start to be fair about is they just are incredibly unlucky. I mean, they cannot. And listen, they brought in guys that they should have been worried about their injury situations. That's fair knock. The Lindor thing, we knew it was going to be a while, and it's going to be a while. But now to have the home situation, and it's amazing. More and more, it seems that I see pitchers get hit with the ball. I mean, Schiller's been hit with the ball 3 or 4 times in recent games, and a couple of times tonight. And Holmes now with the fractured tibia, and the prognosis being as bleak as that is, to have Holmes on the shelf, to have all the issues that this team has as far as just not being able to put the full complement together, uh, it's almost like it's not fair to have an expectation, even though you're incredibly disappointed and you want to get on them for how badly they've done in certain areas. They also have been incredibly unlucky, and they get the bad news again tonight. Now, as I told you when before the series started, no one was worried about the Yankees. Nobody, even with the idea that you knew that Fried was gonna go to the uh, it was gonna go to the shelf. You knew that, okay? And they'll be very cautious with him. Now, obviously, you're getting ready to get guys back, including Cole. Rodonson is back. You got Cole right around the corner. Hopefully, he's ready to go on a regular basis. They have some young pitchers they can go to. We know that. And with their lineup, you're not worried about the Yankees. You weren't even with the slump they came in. They're rare having lost 5 out of 6. This wasn't about the Yankees. It was about the Mets being able to see if they could use this series to catapult themselves back into a place where they felt good about themselves. The Tigers came in reeling, and the Mets punished them. Now, tonight, it's going to be hard. They're going to have to win back to back games. It doesn't mean they can't, the Mets, but you knew tonight's matchup was going to be tough from the standpoint of this. Here you got one of the prominent power pitchers who shows you every time he goes to the mound, he is among the elite pitchers in the sport. And he relies incredibly heavily on the fastball, and the Mets are a brutal fastball team. They are a brutal hitting fastball team, and I don't know what's going on with Bichette. He hit the ball hard his first time up, didn't get the ball out, hit it to dead center field, hit it well, hit it on the screws. After that, nothing, absolutely nothing. And again, they can't survive with that. Soto obviously hits the home run to at least energize the fan base, get them off the schneid. When it looked like he might strike out for the third time, he didn't. He got around on the pitch and showed you the immense power that he has, especially to that part of the field where he does have an incredible amount of power. Um, they tack on a meaningless run late. But here's the point of the game, and I understand it's all clouded now by the Holmes news, but here's the point of the game that bothered me. Why would you okay, why would you're down 1-0. You know you're gonna have a hard time scoring off the pitcher you're facing tonight. He's a dominant power pitcher. He comes in with a 1.35 ERA. He's gonna strike people out right and left. He doesn't walk anybody. He's not gonna give up a lot of hits. Why would you not play incredibly careful baseball, even though it's the 3rd inning, okay? Rice gets a base hit on what's a big night. Judge gets a base hit, all right? Bellinger takes a good pitch, a pitch that's down. Now, the one thing is, he likes the ball down there, but he takes the pitch really almost off the ground and flips it into the right field corner for a double. Excellent piece of hitting. Now you have 2nd and 3rd, 1 run in. There are 2 outs. Why would you pitch to Chisholm in that spot? Now, I know Chisholm hasn't been going great, but if you know the Yankees, if you follow the Yankees, and if you have done your scouting work, you know that I don't care what the numbers say in the last week or so. You need to always make McMahon, who is in there for his glove and his stability, and who made a nice play to get the first out in an inning where you never know if that guy gets on base, what kind of inning it is. And McMahon makes those plays routinely. He's a brilliant third baseman. But you know any Yankee fan who watches the Yankees, anybody who knows anything about the Yankees knows you have to make McMahon get a hit for you off you. You have to make him produce. You can't pitch to Chisholm 2nd and 3rd with a base open and 2 out and McMahon up next. Make McMahon hit there. And Chisholm comes through. Now it's 3-0. Then McMahon strikes out. I didn't understand that for the life of me. I thought it was a 2-run complete blunder by Mendy. It made no sense. Listen, I like McMahon. I've had egg on my face because of the way he's hit because I wanted him. I pushed for him to get traded here forever. I loved his glove, and I thought he would hit home runs at Yankee Stadium. He has not done that. He's been a disappointment, a bitter disappointment offensively. I know he's been a little better lately, and I give him credit for his stick-to-itiveness, but you gotta let him beat you every single time. Every single time. Now, you're not gonna go to a lefty ever against because you're gonna bring Rosario in, but they're not that's not the case. This is the case of make him take his bat into the batter's box and beat you with a base hit. And I thought that broke the game open right there because 3 runs with Schlittler on the mound is, like 5-0 with somebody else on the mound. Um, and let's be honest, the Mets mustered very little all night, and the Yankees were very much in control. When the Mets did hit the ball hard, the Yankees were right there, whether it was Grisham tracking down a Vientos, and Vientos could have had 3 hits, and he had nothing to show for it. I mean, everybody made a great play on him, you know? Schlittler made a great play going towards the foul line and making the throw. Uh, Grisham ran down his first ball, which he hit really well. The last ball, you know, hit the pitcher's foot, and then he got thrown out of first base. I mean, he could have easily had 3 hits tonight. He didn't, but hitting hard luck again, and he has hit a lot of hard balls that he hasn't gotten paid for. Um, but let's be honest, there were 3 or 4 guys in the lineup tonight who were just completely overmatched by this quality of pitcher, just completely overmatched. And he did his job the way he always seems to do his job. I mean, he's quickly, and it's based on just sheer productivity. He's quickly become one of the premier pitchers in baseball. I mean, tonight, 6 and 2/3 innings, 2 hits, strikes out 9, did walk 2, which is unusual for him. Okay, threw 106 pitches. His whip is 0.78. The guy is just an incredible talent, and he has the right makeup, and he has the right bravado to be what you would want in that kind of pitcher who's only gonna grow into that role. Is he gonna become the ace of the staff? Well, maybe he is. Maybe he'll earn that, and he'll earn it by performance. But the Yankees have 3 guys who could fit that bill at their best, and that's a lot. That's a lot. No, very few teams can even think of that. to have 3 pitchers who could pitch on that level. Now one's on the shelf, one's coming off the shelf, one's going on the shelf, and then there's, uh, Slittler, who now is 6-1 and pitching as well as anybody this side of Skeens in baseball. I mean, so for the Yankees, I'm sure for them, they didn't wanna come in here having played the way they have the last week and have the Mets sweep them, which, wasn't gonna happen, or probably they'd like to win this series, and now they have a very good chance to do that. It's been years since they've won a series, we know, there. Um, we'll see what happens. There'll be no blood no matter what. Somebody wins 2 out of 3 in this series, nobody cares. I mean, that's just the way it is. Nobody really cares. It doesn't draw you gotta to get embarrassed, you gotta get swept, let's be honest. But for the Mets, they didn't need another night like this where on top of a loss comes devastating news. I mean, Holmes has been this is the first time this year that Holmes has allowed 3 runs in a game. He pitched well tonight and could have gotten a lot better because he could have got out of the 3rd inning with just 1 run if they had been smart. He, I thought, did a good job. He's done a great job all year, and now to have him lost on top of everything else. And listen, I was a big proponent of Bichette coming here. I've watched Bichette play for years. I've also watched New York devour player after player through the years. I'm puzzled by this one. I really am. Now, I know the team's gotten off to a bad start. He's probably pressing dramatically. He's probably overthinking everything. He's probably getting himself into bad habits and everything else for someone who has had the kind of career he's had. This is turning into a nightmare scenario for him. But let's be honest, the Mets can't worry about that right now. They need him to produce. They need him to produce. And they're going to see, guys they're not going to match up well against great the next couple of days. Their kids are going to see lefties. They're going to see lefties. It's they need the couple of right-handed guys they got in that lineup to do some damage. And if Bichette and Vientos aren't going to do it, who's going to do it? So, uh, tough night all the way around. That got a lot tougher with the Holmes news. I mean, again, it comes to a point where you don't even want to pile on because you say, man, on top of all their bad decision making, and not every decision has been terrible. No one's trying to say that's true. But, to gamble on Polanco and have him come up 0, to have guys go down the way they have, to have guys not hit the way they have, to have guys just stumble. Now, the kids have given them a lift. I'm sure for the kids, I'm sure tonight was not only a great experience, but an eye opener. I mean, think about it. You're in the minor leagues, and a couple of days later, you're up in a big spot like Ewing was with 2 on in a game where you're trying to make a comeback and get a base hit now and get within 1 run with a single would have, brought in 2 runs after the wild pitch. And you're like, hey, this kid, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago was playing in Double A. Now he's playing in front of full houses in the biggest city in the world, staring across at the greatest uniform in baseball history. I mean, that's a lot, you know, being on the same field with Judge and guys like that. I mean, that's rarefied air for a kid who was in the minor leagues a couple of days ago. That's a lot to inhale. It really is. That has to be taken into account. So the Yanks really do what they have to do. They come here, their big pitcher puts forth a big effort. They do enough offensively. Rice continues his terrific hitting, 3 hits in the homer, and they go on to a matter of fact, ho hum 5-2 win in game number 1. Game number 2 tomorrow night. Remember, the weather's gonna be beautiful. I don't know, I have not seen yet. You guys can follow it. The last time I looked, they were still negotiating the LIRR thing. Remember, they have put on extra things, and different places, different buses and different things to help you if that's the case, if they do I gotta figure they won't, but I always figure they won't, though. I always figure they'll settle at the last minute. They're only arguing the 4th year. They settled evidently on the first 3 years. They're arguing the amount of the raise of the 4th year. Seems to me they can come to that, come to a solution there. I would think at the last second, but let's see what happens there. A couple of things. Am I surprised that we're gonna get a game 7 on Sunday so the Knicks will remain on the shelf? Not in the least. I told you when we spoke this morning, I said, "Would I be surprised?" I said, "I won't be surprised 1 iota if the Pistons go in and beat them and then force the game 7, and the Pistons went in and clobbered them." Cleveland is so weird. I don't know what's going on with that team. Now, would I be surprised if Cleveland turned around and won with Mitchell and Harden coming up big in the 4th quarter, or Strus making 4 threes and coming up big and beating the Pistons in the 4th quarter of game 7? No. These teams are evenly matched. One is talented but erratic. The other one plays really hard defensively, but has such limited offensive people. Now Duran's hurt. So, game 7, I believe, has been installed for, 7 o'clock on Sunday night. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Uh, so we know now that the Knicks will have their opponent and be ready to play, come Tuesday, but we'll get a game 7. It doesn't look like we're gonna get a game 7 in the San Antonio. It looks like we do have a game 7 with Cleveland and Detroit. I also, promised you that, I would give you the Preakness for those of you that are interested in such things, okay? This is an odd race in a lot of regards. The winner of the Derby isn't here, obviously. And, I shouldn't count Minnesota completely out yet because they're only down 15. It was bigger than that as they go to the half, so I guess they still have a puncher's chance, but, I think, obviously, when everything clears out west, Oklahoma City is going to be, it says TBA, but I believe I guess if there's 2 game 7s, Detroit might go earlier, but if there's 1 game 7, I think it'll be, Detroit at 7 o'clock. Um, OKC is gonna be in the final. I will be shocked if they're not. I will be shocked if the Knicks aren't in the final. They're gonna be much better than either team that wins game 7 on Sunday. I don't The way these 2 teams turn the ball over is ridiculous. I think the Knicks, who now you figure are gonna get enough time to get OG back in the fold, um, if they play anywhere near the level of defense they showed in the last series, they will win comfortably. And not think either one I do not think either one of the conference finals will go 7, and I think it will be Knicks and OKC in the final, and we're all obviously looking forward to that. Now, as I said, this is a very odd Preakness. Number 1, it's at Laurel. Number 2, once again, the big Derby horses don't wanna go. And then all of a sudden, Incredible decides Riley Mott's horse, Bill Mott's son. As a matter of fact, Riley was saying to his dad, "My horse is doing great," and Bill said to him, "Put him in a race." Now it's Bill who's gotten knocked for not putting sovereignty into the Preakness, and Bill hates the Preakness, and Bill's the one who told Riley to put the horse in the race. So that's just a little irony there. Um, you have a lot of speed in this 14 horse field. The fastest horse is the 10 Napoleon Solo. The one horse, which is a horse that's 3 for 3 and a horse for the course, trained by a leading connections there in Maryland, Taj Mahal, I think can rate, which means I don't think he has to have the lead. When you have a speed horse that has to have the lead, you know you're gonna get a boiling speed duel. I think the 10 might be able to cut this race with a little less pressure from the other speeds being the speed of the speed, and I think Taj might sit off him and try to sit off him and come get him from a stalking position rather than go out and attack him. Now, that could compromise the 2 closes. The Derby show horse, which is a maiden. Now, if you have wanted to get a horse in the Derby as long as I have, and have had times where you're trying to qualify horses for the Derby, and it's very frustrating when you don't get them there, that this horse actually got into the race and then actually almost won the race as a maiden, and now is the 2nd favorite or probably the 2nd favorite, maybe the 3rd favorite in the Preakness as a maiden, and people are picking the horse to win is one of the bizarre things I've ever seen. But the horse clearly is one of the 2 prominent closers in this race. Incredible, who I think will be the post time favorite. And let me say this, I don't wanna go into this at this hour, and this is for only people who are racing aficionados. But if racing does not fix what is going on in their wagering systems so that you can wager on a horse and that horse is 12 or 15 to 1, and then on the last click, the horse goes to 6 to 1. That is so criminally unfair to the betting public that if it continues, it will end racing. We all know we all know what's being done. We all know that it's being done everywhere. They have got to put in a fail-safe system to stop this from happening. They cannot let these high-speed computers into their betting pools at the last second. So what's gonna have to happen now, I know nothing about computers, 0, so I have no remedy in that regard, and I'm not offering one. But what I'm telling you is there is a very common sense remedy, and that is you shut you shut the betting pools with 3 minutes to post. Now, they don't like to do that because they wanna take every dollar into the last second. And people bet right up to the last second, and there's always people online who didn't get in because they wanted to wager right up to the last second. Tough. If you cannot protect the integrity of the wager, nobody's gonna wager. Nobody's gonna play the game if they believe these high-speed computers are gonna scam them at the end. And this has got to stop. And if they don't correct that, and it happened again today there, if they don't fix this now, racing will be completely dead. There'll be nothing to discuss anymore. Now, the 10, the 1 is a real horse. The 10 is a real speed. The 2 and the 12 are closers. I'm not picking any of the 4, but I'm telling you that I could see the scenarios where the speeds last, and I can see the scenarios where the 2 closers get the advantage of a fast pace and come on straight the stretch, but my horse that I told you, Corona de Oro, The 11 horse. Last odds I saw was 16 to 1. I think he'll go up off that. This horse looks like one of the common speed horses in the race. He is not. First of all, he is trained by a guy who has had incredible success with long shots in Triple Crown races, an old friend of mine, Dallas Stewart, who learned under the great Wayne Lucas, as did Todd Pletcher, among others. Dallas has been a very successful trainer in his own right. And I have had the good fortune at the Derby of hitting a couple of big exactas with Dallas on the back end at, 40 to 1, 50 to 1, 39 to 1. Is that okay? Dallas, this horse has sneaky form. I believe he has the breeding to run a route of ground. I believe that he is tractable, and with the right jockey, and I think he has that, he will sit in a stalking position mid-pack and then will be a prominent horse going forward late. I think he has trained beautifully. He has looked impeccable. And I'm telling you that I am going to use him, the 11, with in different varieties. I'm just telling you, with all four of these horses. So I'm going to use the 11 on top of the 1, 2, 10, 12. I'm going to use the 1, 2, 10, 12 on top of the 11. The 11 is going to be my key horse. I'm going to be using him in all three spots with these four horses. Of the four, if you say to me, Mike, pick a cold exacta, I will pick 11, 12. But I am telling you, I am using the two speeds and the two closers. I'm using the 1, the 2, the 10, and the 12, and I'm using the 11 as my key horse in all three spots. I'm betting the 11 to win. I am using the 11 in the exactas and the triples in all three spots. So if the 11's on the board, if he's on the board, I will hit whatever he's in. If he's third, I will hit the triple. If he's second, I will hit the exacta. If he wins, I will hit the exacta and the triple. So that is my race. I am picking the 11 to win. I'm giving you four other horses. If you made me give you a cold exacta, I will go 11 Corona de Oro, 12 Incredible, and 1 Taj Mahal third. If you may ask me to pick you three horses cold under the wire. But I'm telling you, I'm using the 1, the 2, the 10, and the 12 with the 11. The 11 is my key horse. Now to the PGA. If you watch the PGA today, it was I couldn't believe how cold it was. They're wearing wool hats. They're freezing. They were actually freezing. The wind was a huge factor. Scotty Scheffler said it was the hardest pin placements and some of the trickiest wins he'd ever played in. He shot 1 over par. He is right now 2 strokes off the lead. You got guys at 4 under. You got guys at 3 under. Scotty's 2 under. He's still the favorite to win it. It's going to get very warm here tomorrow and Sunday. Let me see what the weather forecast is in Philadelphia for those days, because clearly today the weather was much worse in Philadelphia than it was here. Because, I mean, watching these guys I was watching them at 7:30 this morning, and they were frozen. Now, Newton Square is outside Philadelphia, so Saturday is going to be 81 degrees. Sunday is going to be 87 degrees. The winds are going to be under 10 miles an hour. They are going to have superb playing conditions. It is going to be a different track both days. It's a tricky track, especially the back nine. The bottom line is I still think Scheffler will win, but there's a lot of people there. There's a lot of guys on the board. I like the way Gutterup is playing, but clearly the weather is going to take a turn, as it's going to take a turn here. It's going to be 75 for the game tomorrow night. It's going to be 80 something for the game on Sunday afternoon. And now you have no Nick game to worry about until Tuesday night. So Corona de Oro is my long shot in the Preakness, and I gave you how I'm going to play it. Good luck if you're interested in that. Enjoy the PGA, and we'll see you tomorrow night after game 2 of the Subway Series.